This is really happening. And I'm going to share with you once again why I believe that XRP and Bitcoin are going to be number one and number two. Now, why would I be saying that on April 7th, 2025, when the markets are in the red, absolutely collapsing? I'm going to give you a completely different, stoic, non emotional perspective. And I would love to hear your feedback down below. But everything I state are things that I'm actually doing. We are non emotional about this because we understand that all that's happening right now is an energy transfer. But let me explain at a very deep level. Okay. We're first going to start with the markets collapsing and why they're collapsing. I'm going to share with you what I believe is happening, and we'll be able to measure that by August or July. So, the thing that has happened, we know that Trump said he was going to make America the crypto capital of the world. That created a huge pump, right? As Trump came in, promises made, promises kept. Then all of a sudden, he comes in with the tariff talk, which panics the market globally. Promises made, promises kept. He comes on April 2nd, and he called it Liberation Day. Now, I want you to think about this for just a moment. Trump could have gone in, he's a businessman, he's not a politician. Very, very different playbook from a politician to a businessman. So he comes in, get a pen and paper out. I want you to write this down and go study this. This is the type of stuff you should understand at a deep level because this is why we buy the dips. This is why we do the opposite of the 99%. So Trump comes in with a sweeping tariff on every single country, a reciprocal tariff, right? It's actually much lower than most of the tariffs they're putting on us. This causes an absolute visceral, emotional response in the global markets, not just cryptocurrency, the stock market, the global markets. Okay. What you have to understand right now is what's happening now is that money's flooding out of the market. So go look at a risk pyramid. It's flooding out of, so if you go up the left side of the risk pyramid, high risk, high return, it's flooding down to tier one capital, which is treasuries. So now what he's doing is he's forcing the markets to collapse. Money is flooding into treasuries. Think about that. What will that force Jerome Powell to do? Lower rates. Okay. If the rates don't lower, we are heading into a depression. Okay. You have to get ready for this, guys. This is the key you need to understand. There is zero real money in the system. Everything is debt. Everything is debt. So the very people that are protesting about the stock market and Trump is making us poor and doing all this stuff, he's actually helping the middle class because by him putting sweeping tariffs on every single country right away caused a shock to the system. It collapsed the markets. People go into tier one capital, which is treasuries, the bonds, right? And what that does is it's going to force Jerome Powell to lower rates. And if he doesn't, we're going to go into a depression. Okay. Because everything is debt. This is what you have to understand. Okay. So let's pause for a moment, recap that. Okay. So everything is debt. So if they lower rates and they start the printing machine again, what's going to happen is you're going to start to see the middle class is going to start to have more money in their pocket because everything is debt. Okay. If we're not lending, if there's no interest in the system, and if America paid off all its debt, the whole system would collapse. There's more debt than there is income. So what Trump did is sweeping tariffs instead of going from country to country to country. He did a stark move as a businessman. Boom. Everybody's getting tariffed. And now 50 countries are already negotiating with Trump. So you're seeing a visceral response that's going to cause people to flood into treasuries. They're going to be forced to lower rates. If they lower rates, it's going to start to put more money in the middle class's pockets. And then you're going to start to see us pull out of this, I would say August, July. And I believe you're going to start to see a big upswing in the markets. And then we're going to start to see the economy rebalance itself. And then we're going to go into the golden era. That's what I truly believe. But here's another key factor you need to pay attention to. Okay. There's a reason why Warren Buffett pulled into mostly cash last year. Think about that. He's a very smart man. And if you look at the Warren Buffett indicator, you could see the stock market is extremely overvalued, extremely overheated for a very long time. Okay. Number two, Larry Fink in 2023 flipped and said, Bitcoin is used for money laundering. to a flight to quality. That's weird. It went from money laundering to a flight to quality. Guys, you can see by the numbers that going from an inflationary asset to a deflationary asset is the only way to fix this system. And then all of a sudden in 2024, Trump comes back and runs on a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Guys, they're collapsing the old system. We're moving from an inflationary asset, okay, that has more debt than it has income. This is just, they have to keep moving the energy back and forth. Okay. At some point, that energy has to die off. It's not going to work anymore. You can't have more debt than you have income and keep playing this game. At some point, it has to transfer. Then all of a sudden, Trump creates a Bitcoin strategic, or Cynthia Loomis, and they put a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And then by August, hopefully the Genius Act will be approved to buy 1 million more Bitcoin. And Bitcoin being deflationary can shrink the balance sheet by 2045 in half. It's opposite of the US dollar. XRP is opposite of the US dollar. Now, do you see why Larry Fink is the #2 holder in Bitcoin? Now, do you see why asset managers are starting to say, man, is it 2%? Is it 5%? Now, do you see why Ray Dalio, who said Bitcoin is now thinking 2 to 5% in the portfolio? Now, do you see why Warren Buffett closed out into a bunch of cash just recently? And Nubank is one of his #1 performing assets, which is a cryptocurrency bank. He says, nah, with Bitcoin, but a Nubank is one of his top performing assets. Think about this for just a moment. Guys, all that's happening, if you've made it this far, most people haven't made it this far, is there's a transfer of energy. Okay. We're moving from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, industrial to technical, an archaic banking system to a new banking system. Okay. This can't survive. So it has to transmute its energy. So what Trump did is he transmuted the energy from an inflated stock market. That energy just transferred into bonds, which is perception-wise safer. But how do they create bonds, guys? They print money to create bonds to sell the debt to us. Money out of thin air to create bonds to debt to sell to us. So we think that's safer. That system can't last forever. It has to phase off. Okay, we're moving into faster payments, quantum, like not be careful with QFS accounts or a scam. You don't need a QFS account, but a quantum fast, let's call it faster system, right? So what's happening right now is all part of it. Okay, so now that's my opinion. What Trump is doing, he's just did sweeping tariffs instead of going country by country by country. But now 50 countries are already negotiating. You're going to feel pain April, maybe going into May. I feel like June, July, August, you're going to start to see this thing turn around. And I believe it's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, these are the moments we live for. We are celebrating in our Warrior Academy. We're like, thank you, God, for this opportunity to buy these future assets that'll be here for the next 100 years because we know what we hold. Okay. We are not panicking. You know, people are coming up to me in public. Oh my God, what's going on? I'm like, this is the greatest time in human history. Now, this is a thing, public, you need to listen to. Hey, the very people that are protesting that Trump is destroying the middle class, I want you to just digest this for just a moment. You're learning this from the media. You're learning this from people who are very, 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 very wealthy, who are manipulating you. Okay. The fact is, the top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities. The top 10% own 88% of the stock market. The top 10% own 88% of the stock market. So Trump is actually, let me bring you guys back on my screen here. So Trump is actually hurting the rich. He's hurting the rich right now. Inflation is starting to tame. Okay. Don't get manipulated by this, guys. The next 40% own 12% of the stock market. So the top 50% own almost all of the stock market, and the bottom 50% has all the debt. So you're protesting against Trump destroying the markets when you're sitting in a debt system that they trapped you in. He's hurting the wealthy, the people with tons of money in the stock market. The money is flooding into bonds, into treasuries. Okay. Now, this is going to start to be an economic war now. Okay. So you're going to see a lot of countries capitulate. Got 50 countries already negotiating. There's going to be the biggest battle is going to be America and China, but we're the debtor, guys. We are the debtor. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple of these videos here just to kind of give you more perspective besides mine. And this is where we get our logic from. Okay, so this is Scott Bessent. Pay attention.
I'm not happy with what's going on in the market today, but the distribution of equities across households, the top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities, 88% of the stock market. The next 40% owns 12% of the stock market. The bottom 50 has debt. They have credit card bills. They rent their homes. They have auto loans, and we've got to give them some relief.
So that's what Trump is doing. He's helping you. He's not hurting you. These tariffs are bringing jobs back to America. The sweeping tariff pushed a bunch of money into bonds, into treasuries, right? That will force them to lower interest rates. Lower interest rates helps the general public. It does not help it will help the wealthy in the future, but it does not help with your stock market. So if 88% of the stock market is with the top 10%, what are you protesting against? Okay. I'm talking the financial part. When I hear people saying out there protesting, saying Trump is taking money away from the middle class, he's bringing, promise you, watch, by the end of this year, it's going to flip from Trump is the worst president ever to sweeping tariffs to, oh my God, I have more money in my pocket. Watch, mark my words, save this video. Okay. Okay, this is the top 50 countries have already reached out to President Trump to begin negotiations. I just want to read this from Robert Kiyosaki here. It says, as I've suggested for years, I suggested looking at non-Wall Street assets. He's been saying that this was coming, a recession and depression, right? That's why BlackRock is going to a flight to quality. That's why all of a sudden XRP became the biggest topic, guys. These are deflationary. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm not even calling them crypto. I'm calling the top 10, top 5 deflationary. Bitcoin, XRP, deflationary assets. What's the difference? Inflationary, the dollar, you get poor every single year. Okay. Unless you beat inflation with the raise. On the other side, you get wealthier every year. Okay. Listen to this. For many years, I've suggested that real gold, silver, and today Bitcoin. Why? This is interesting. Because after this paper market crashes, wipes out millions of fake paper assets, it's all fake. It's all debt, guys. Odds are the Fed and Treasury will turn the printing machine back on full speed, printing trillions of dollars in fake money, which becomes even more fake, and real money, gold, silver, Bitcoin, go up in value. That is what they're preparing for, guys. That's what they're preparing for.
Why is gold moving around the world in such huge quantities right now?
Well, a couple of things. It's moving. Physically, it's moving because of potential tariffs here. So, like, it was unclear whether we were going to exempt gold from tariffs, which I believe we have. So there was a big move out of vaults in Switzerland, out of vaults in London to get it into New York. And look, that there are a lot of different stores of value over time. Bitcoin's becoming a store of value. Gold has historically been a store of value.
We're moving back to a value-based economy. That's all that's happening, family. Don't get caught up in this short-term pain, man. Don't get caught up in it. Larry Fink says Bitcoin could replace a dollar as the world's reserve currency because of national debt. Okay. Remember, we are a debt-based society. It's that simple. We're a debt-based society. Okay. Every single year, if you are holding the dollar, you become poor. That's it. Okay. There's what's called the risk pyramid. This is exactly what I do. This is what's helped us become millionaires in crypto and millionaires outside of crypto. Okay. From 2020 to 2022, we exited on the way up. Some of our crypto, I pulled it down and I bought tier 1 capital, insurance. I insured some of my money. I bought cash generating businesses. We expanded into some silver. We got a little bit of real estate. I need to get more for tax liabilities. We built cash generating assets like dividend ETF stocks, things like that. We're transmuting this money. We're moving with the wave of energy. So with everything happening right now, I'm like, yes. So people in the academy are like, Gonzo was live. We're live in the academy almost on a daily basis saying, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. It's just a transmutation of energy. The energy transfers from the stock market, okay, because of emotion. Okay, this is important. It's because of emotion. The emotional response to tariffs. Oh my God. Boom. They pull out US treasuries. Okay. Now, Trump is putting out tweets and saying, or on True Social tweets, whatever you want to call them, he's saying, Jerome Powell, let's go. You need to lower interest rate. He can't tell him what to do, but he's forcing the hand of Jerome Powell. And if Jerome Powell doesn't lower interest rates, we are going to go into a depression. Okay. So if they lower interest rates, what does that do? It puts money back in the middle class's pocket. It's a temporary fix right now because there's only debt in our system. There is no real money. It's just debt. So why the hell would you just sit there and get paid in someone else's debt and just keep storing debt? So that's what I changed, is my financial literacy. That's why I celebrate when deflationary assets, Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, HBAR, ADA, all these start collapsing. I'm like, yes, yes, that's awesome. Okay, they're going into treasuries. Stock market's collapsing. Dollars becoming more powerful, right? A fake asset, or is it fake dollars becoming more powerful? Our deflationary assets are going down. So I transmute that money into deflationary asset, and then it keeps going up. It's going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up. And then once all this system, it's going to take a while for the system to switch. Once it switches, that's the financial system for the next 100 years. And I'm sure somebody will F up that system because it's just money. There's greed. It's always going to transmute itself. That's all that's happening right now. Okay. So if you're trying to get rich quick, yes, you're going to get wrecked, because what does get rich quick come with? Emotion. What happens when someone goes to a casino? Hence meme coins, hype trends, right? They go in, they make a couple 100% on their money, and they think they can do it again. You're not. I promise you, you're not going to do it again. That's not how it works. Wealth is anything that is good. A relationship has ups and downs. The tide comes in, comes out. There's a massive hurricane or storm, and then it's extremely eerily calm. Okay. You get in shape, you get out of shape. Everything is a wave of energy. Your body is a wave of energy. That's all it is. So this energy is a very low frequency right now. And then it's going to go into soup. Just mark my word, Raj. All of a sudden, July going on into the back end of July, probably going into 2026. Trump, oh, the news, what a great move. It's like, it's just energy, guys. I mean, 1 minute they're the hero, 1 minute they're an asshole, 1 minute, it transmutes back and forth over and over again. The key is, when are you going to take the middle ground? Jesus Christ, Yeshua told us, take the middle ground. Yeshua, take the middle ground. Miramata Musashi, be stoic. Be in the void. If you know what you hold, there's no reason to panic. But if you don't know what you hold, and you're asking what to invest in, not why you're investing, yeah, you should be panicking, and you shouldn't be in the markets. You should figure out how to get out of the trap of debt and to transmute your pay into something that's deflationary, that can grow, compound. That's why I use insurance. My insurance, well, as the markets are collapsing, my principal is guaranteed. My money is insured. My money is actually insured. Okay. We have money going into insurance every month, money going into crypto every month. I have daily, I'm buying crypto. I buy the dips. I'm buying my dividend ETF strategy. I have my businesses paying me. Money's just transmuting, just moving around. Got some tier 1 capital insurance, got some high risk ETF strategy, de-risking back into a deflationary asset, Bitcoin and XRP. I got my nice little crypto portfolio I'm holding on to. We're starting to add to our real estate portfolio. It's just fun, just calm, relax. It just takes time, right? Took time. I had to lose my money a bunch to finally figure this out, to study what money actually is. So when I get paid in funny money, the US dollar, I transmute it into something that will compound, grow, or continue to multiply. So I hope this information reaches your heart well. Take a deep breath. You got this. If you made it this far, you're a true warrior. Comment warrior down below. Just a huge warning out there. I'm not proactively DMing you. QFS accounts are a scam. Never send your crypto to anybody, ever. Even if you think it's us, it's not us. They're using AI technology. Do not send your crypto to anybody. Okay. I have very clear pathways for you. So I have the 3T Warrior Academy. For example, as this was collapsing, my team was live in there this weekend talking about what's going on. Here's what's actually going on. Here's what we think. Here's our opinion, right? We have example portfolios. We have teaching people how to fish, entry and exit plans, diversification. What does it look like? Community calls, live calls, market calls, education, right? It's a community of people helping support you. Okay. So that's the 3T Warrior Academy down below. Okay, you can also set up that we have a 4-week webinar series as well. You'll see that down below. And then you want to know how to insure your wealth, why we are so calm. Like I have a lot of my money insured, right? Which is important. We use index universal life. Some people use whole life annuities. If you want to learn how to insure your money, I have a whole team to support you on that. You'll see it down below in the description of this video or in the social media platform. Click the link. We will set up an appointment with my team. You'll never send them money directly. I just want to keep you safe because people are getting scammed left and right. You'll never send my team members money directly. It's a free financial strategy, and that's about learning about cash value life insurance, bank on yourself, annuities, tax-free retirement, all those different things. We can support you with any information you need. So I love you guys. We're here to support you. We got your back. Let's get after it. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Let's go. Love you guys.